Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Zambia's parliament suspends dozens of opposition lawmakers for boycotting a speech by the president. It widens a political rift that earlier this year landed the UPND's leader in jail on treason charges. Also, the International Organization for Migration says that over the last year or so, it saved more than 600 migrants who've been stranded in the Sahara Desert. Many are duped or dumped by smugglers, profiting off those trying to make it to Libya with the hopes of moving it on to the dangerous final sea voyage to Europe. And Rwanda's recently shut down a dozen private universities. Authorities say it's because of shoddy teaching, but worried students have been left in limbo. But first, 48 opposition lawmakers have been suspended from Zambia's parliament for boycotting a speech by President Edgar Lungu. The Speaker's decision to ban UPND politicians from taking their seats for more than 30 days means that they'll be barred from the building and won't be paid. The party's leader, Hakainde Hichilema, is in jail on treason charges that international rights campaigners have called trumped up. The UPND is calling the suspension itself unconstitutional. Daniel Tonga brings us more from Lusaka.
First of all, Zambia is going through a difficult time at the moment. Political instability has deepened and division has also worsened. All these arising from unresolved issues regarding the last general elections as to who really won the elections. Now, the political rift between the Patriotic Front and the United Party for National Development has also worsened. And this has brought, of course, divisions among people. You get a sense from this tension in the country because of this unresolved election impasse. To add on to this impasse, we've seen the Speaker of the National Assembly for the first time, actually, Dr. Patrick Matibini, suspending 48 members of Parliament of UPND for boycotting the opening of the National Assembly early this year because they did not recognize the incumbent President Edgar Lungu as duly elected. And according to the Speaker of the National Assembly, the action by the UPND MPs was a gross misconduct when there was a sitting president. But what we know now is that the UPND has reacted to this suspension of its MPs, and they are saying that they will take the matter to the court and challenge the decision of the Speaker. But of course, the Speaker was within his rights because he enjoys wide power and regulates the orderly conduct of the House.
Bearing in mind some of the political frictions that you've outlined there for us, that definitely was worsened by the arrest of Hakainde Hichilema earlier this year. He's facing treason charges. What's the latest on his situation?
Well, currently, Hakainde Hichilema, president of the United Party for National Development, has taken to another prison called Mukoveko Maximum Security Prison in Kawe, which is about 144 kilometers north of Lusaka. And this is where he and 5 others are charged with treason are being held ahead of the trial case, which has now been committed to the High Court. Of course, the trial date has not yet been set, but of course it's going to be heard within 30 days. His transfer to the other security prison is being argued at the moment by his defense team. They are saying that he has not yet been convicted and there was no reason for the state to send him to a prison where those condemned to death actually have been kept. At the moment, we're still waiting to hear when the matter will actually be heard in the High Court.
Daniel Tonga there for us in Lusaka. Now, church leaders in Cameroon released a statement on Wednesday insisting that a colleague who died earlier this year was murdered and didn't commit suicide. Bishop Jean-Marie Benoit Balla's body was found in a river earlier this month, more than 2 days after he'd been reported as missing. The 58-year-old Bishop of Bafia's car was found on a bridge with his ID papers and an apparent suicide note reading, "I am in the water," on the front seat. The bishops insist that he was killed and point out that the murders of several Cameroonian priests have gone unsolved in the past. Now, authorities in Niger have rescued more than 90 migrants abandoned in the Sahara Desert as they tried to make their way to Libya. Most of the group were from Nigeria. Others came from Ghana, Burkina Faso, and Senegal. Now, they were stranded not far from the town of Derkou, where the International Organization for Migration has a camp. The IOM says it saved more than 600 migrants from the Sahara Desert over the last year. Many are duped or dumped by smugglers, profiting off those trying to make it to Libya and on to the dangerous final sea voyage towards Europe.
Scenes like this are all too familiar on the Mediterranean Sea. Flimsy boats overcrowded with desperate migrants hoping to make it to Europe. Left to the mercy of the elements and in need of rescue by the Italian Coast Guard or NGOs operating in the region. The UN's refugee agency estimates that between 700,000 and 1 million people in Libya are waiting for their chance to make the perilous journey. Most have traveled the sub-Saharan route, paying large sums to smugglers.
I paid €458 to arrive here in Libya. It's not easy. They sent us all the way here to Sabratha. I paid €229 for crossing the Mediterranean.
For those unlucky enough to be rescued close to the Libyan coast, detention in one of the country's reception centers awaits.
The problem is that the migrants in this region think that Italy is a stone's throw away from them. They think that Libya is the last step before Italy. They don't think of coming here to Libya to work.
A report by the UN described conditions in the centers as appalling, citing arbitrary detentions and a lack of a formal registration process or access to legal aid. The UN found most centers to be severely overcrowded and unsanitary, with many guards extorting the migrants. Despite these hardships, the number of migrants attempting the crossing is on the rise, nearly 1/3 higher than during the same period last year.
The WHO's confirmed the first cases of polio in DR Congo since 2012. 2 separate outbreaks have been logged. They're in the districts in Haut-Lomami province and in Maniema province. It's still not clear exactly how many cases they consist of. Congo is working on a response plan as their fears that the virus will spread easily. Well, over the last 3 months, Rwanda's government shut down a dozen private universities, mostly in the provinces. Authorities say it's because of shoddy teaching and a lack of equipment. The affected institutions have been given until September to change things around or face permanent closure. In the meantime, thousands of students find themselves at a loose end and frustrated. Our correspondent sent us this report.
Gates locked, symbolic of a wider shutdown. 3 months ago, more than 600 students were on this premises. The campus chief wants to show us around.
Now really empty, nothing is there now. And also we are waiting for this decision.
About a dozen other universities have been affected. The issue, a government audit lambasting standards and equipment. Students are paying a big price.
Now we stop, that means 600 students, they are suffering. They are not getting proper education.
Several thousand students are affected. Some have switched elsewhere, while others are stuck in limbo. Celestine, a radio reporter, spent nearly $3,000 on a master's degree in journalism.
I can't apply anywhere else, because in the other universities, they ask for someone who has a master's degree. I don't understand. I haven't done anything wrong.
The government claims that universities were warned in advance and that it has students' best interests at heart.
If these things that we ask from the universities are put in place, then when the students go back, they are going to get the value for their money. So I don't think that they really lost. I think they would be missing more if they continue to learn and leave the university or higher institution half-baked.
The High Council for Education is re-evaluating the universities and is yet to judge which ones will reopen or be shut down permanently.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks very much for joining us. Do so again if you can. Take care.